Siajalin sir, I had sent the YouTube link to you and I made you host also, sir. Sir, excuse me. Siajalin sir. Yes. Hmm. Sir, if any problem occurs, please call me, sir.
நான் பார்த்து பேசிடுவேன். ஓ 8 மாதம் தான் வேலை. படிக்கவே தேவையில்லையே, பொறுத்தே போதுமே. 12 படிச்சுதான் போதும், அவ்வளவுதான் இருக்கு. அது போதுமே. நீங்க போய் 10th கூட போதுமே.
இந்த மாசம் வாங்கிட்டேன், 31ஆம் தேதி எடுத்தேன். Udah, wait lang.
ஒரு செட்டான் ஜெயிச்சானா அவன்? ஒரு செட்டான் ஜெயிச்சானா? ஓகே, ஆடு ஆடு. Ganesh sir, kindly share the slide 1 of your PPT, please.
Yes, sir.
Sir, kindly make it presentation mode. Enlarge the slide, please. Yeah, thank you, sir. Ganesh sir, sharp at 7:30, we will start the session.
Okay, sir.
Ganesh sir, am I audible?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, sir. Sharp at 7:35, we will start the session.
Okay. Is screen visible, sir?
Yeah, visible, sir. Audio, video, okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Dear participants, kindly mute your mic, please. Mohammed Shakir, kindly mute your mic, please. Mohammed Shakir, kindly mute your mic, please. Yeah, dear participants, kindly introduce yourself through chat box. Your name, designation, department, college or institute name, city name, etc. I repeat, dear participants, kindly introduce yourself through chat box. Your name, designation, department, college or institute name, city name, etc. Speaker sir, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Ganesh sir, kindly introduce yourself and go ahead with your presentation. Kindly introduce yourself and go ahead with your presentation, please.
Okay, shall we start?
Yeah, please sir, please.
So very warm welcome to everyone present here. I am Dr. Ganesh Birazdar. I have completed my PhD in brain abnormality detection using EEG signal analysis. Currently, I am working as an assistant professor in Dr. D.Y. Patil Pradishtan's D.Y. Patil College of Engineering and Research, Akodi, Pune. So I welcome you all for this 5 days national level online workshop, or you can say FDP. Already, Jia sir has been introduced to you with literature review and references. So today I am going to discuss about research methodology. Am I audible, sir?
Yes sir, audible sir.
Okay. So today we are going to explore research methodology, which is the actual backbone of all scientific and academic works. Whoever may be the candidate, either UG, PG, or a PhD scholar, it is a must that we have to learn what actually research is, what is different types, what are different types of researches, and what is research methodology. So before proceeding to this particular presentation, first I would like to discuss about the importance of learning research methodology in current era. So can anyone just tell what actually research is? If you want to speak, you can just unmute your mic and speak, or you can also message in chat box what you feel what actually research is. Actually, I'm going to cover this all, but just at a start, I need to ask some questions. So from your perspective, what actually research is? Can anyone tell?
Yes sir, tell me sir.
Yes?
Yes sir, please go ahead sir. Any problem?
No, just I'm asking some questions to
Okay,
participants.
okay. Sir, better you just get the responses through chat box.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
Okay.
fine sir, please.
So let's start. So what actually research methodology? Research methodology is not just for a PhD scholar, because everyone think that if I'm doing PhD, then research is only for PhD scholars only. But it's not just limited to PhD scholar. It is foundational skill or knowledge, we can say, which should be gained for every undergraduate, postgraduate, or research scholar student. So what actually it do? It builds scientific thinking for each and everyone. It enhances academic performance. It can be used for preparing higher studies and competitive exams. There also we need research. The actual motto of this research is to solve real world problems. Yes, someone else said it is scientific approach, right? That is one methodology to go with research. Now, before proceeding to our today's presentation, I would like to just go for these three questions. Why, what, and how. So why we have to go with research methodology, what actually research methodology is, and how we can proceed for this research methodology. So most important question is why. Why is research methodology important? So first thing, to think critically and solve problems scientifically. Just now someone has said that scientific approach. So what it will do, it will help students move from opinions to evidence-based reasoning. So everyone is having their opening for any problem, how to solve and how to tackle with that problem. But if you go with one particular approach where we have evidence-based reasoning, then we can say it is a particular research. Second one, to succeed in academic and professional careers, if you are in undergraduate final year, then it is must to go with final year project with some research. If you are in PG post-graduation, then our dissertation is must to get your degree. And for research scholars, to get doctorate degree, it is must that they have to submit a thesis with research with good publications. And obviously, these publications are possible only when that research is valid and having some ethical importance. Next point is to contribute new knowledge to our field. So whichever field you are working in, or whichever field you have already studied, so to get insightful knowledge or to get more knowledge, we have to go with research with proper strategy. And the most important thing, to make informed decisions. So whether it's policy, product development, or teaching, research outcome is always better choices. So without methodology, research is directionless. Yeah, research can be done, but through proper methodology, through proper techniques, it will give proper direction and it will give fruitful results. Now, second is what actually research methodology is. Research methodology, it refers to structured and logical approach. It is used to identify, analyze, and solve research problems. So first important thing, we have to identify what actual problem is. Once we identify what actually problem is, then we have to analyze the problem. And once if we completely analyze problem, then we can solve that research problem. What actually it includes first? Techniques of collecting data. It is gathering of information, designing research, then making analysis and analyzing results, and draw conclusion systematically and ethically. So after at the end of research, if we go through some conclusion, that conclusion should be supported some particular system and ethics. So how we can define research methodology? Research methodology is a structured framework of principles and procedures used to design, conduct, analyze, and report research. So last point is how research methodology is done. It is having a systematic process. First one, we have to identify a problem. So based on curiosity, gaps in knowledge, or practical needs, we have to first identify what actual problem is. Second is literature review. As rightly Jia said, how literature review has to be done, either previous methods or using different AI techniques. We have to go through literature, what actually we are doing, whatever work is already done on given research or identify research, that we have to check first, and depend on that, we have to provide our solution, which is somewhat different, more ethical, and more accurate. Next is we have to formulate objective hypothesis. Next step in methodology. Next is we have to design methodology, data collection. Whatever data we are collecting, we have to analyze that using different methods. And last, whichever results we have obtained, we have to represent that results through some reports. So for example, a research statement can be impact of social media on students' academic performance. So what actually problem is here? Nowadays, students are using social media. So they are more habituated to that social media. So what actually problem is that habit is making academic performance lower. So what is research statement? The impact of social media on students' academic performance. Why we have to study this? To understand whether this statement is right, that whether this use of social media really affecting the learning. That is why. What? We have to structure questionnaire among students, that how they are using, how much time they are using, and what are their marks, before using of social media and after using social media. And how we can do this? Using different surveys, different Google Forms or different ways. We can go through surveys where we can analyze source, and the score versus screen time will get actual graph. Depend on that, we have to write some report and we will suggest improvements. So this example was for UG or PG level. So for research scholars, a simple example we can take early detection of Parkinson's disease using deep learning on voice data. Now, what actually Parkinson's disease is? It is related to brain. So what research scholars have to do? The Parkinson's disease. So it is common thing that this Parkinson's disease identification is done always late. So to get it detected earlier, whether it is related to some voice data, that is what will be a simple research topic for research scholars. So before proceeding to research methodology, we'll come with first term what actually research is. So what research? As you can see this figure, research is having different points, that is planning, target, vision, strategy, and analysis. So as it is said, well planning is always important. So research is a systematic and scientific process of collecting, analyzing, and interpreting data to discover new knowledge or solve a problem. So definition highlights different points that we have to collect, analyze, and interpret the data depend on our analysis. So this is a simple definition by Zora. Research is formalized curiosity. It is poking and praying with a purpose. There are different definitions by different experts. So first one is by Clifford Woody. What actually is say? Research comprises defining and redefining problems, formulating hypotheses, collecting, organizing, and evaluating data, making deductions and researching conclusions, and at last carefully testing the conclusions to determine whether they fit the formulated hypothesis. So what actually hypothesis is? Hypothesis, we are defining one particular problem statement. We're assuming it is true, and assuming that statement true, we are proceeding for further research. Now, another author, Kothari, said, what research is? Research is an original contribution to the existing work or existing stock of knowledge, making for its advancement. It is a pursuit of truth with the help of study, observation, comparison, and experiment. Where this research focuses on knowledge advancement and truth seeking, where we have to find out what actually truth. If suppose we are having some problem and we are defining some solution to that problem, then it should be added with truth and ethics. Third scientist says, research is a systematized effort to gain new knowledge, and it is systematic and objective analysis and recording of controlled observations that may lead to the development of generalization principles or theories. So what are different parameters in this definition of research? First is systematic process. We have to do it step by step and organized. Second, it is scientific method, logical, and whatever thing we are doing, that should be evidence based. Everything should be supported some proper evidence. Objective, free from personal bias. The objective should be perfect one. Data driven, it involves collection of different data set and its analysis. And purposeful, whatever research you are going to conduct, it should have some particular purpose. So for example, as I said, research is problem solving. We'll go with some few example. So for UG level, we can go with some simple example, that building a chatbot for campus query handling, where we are designing a chatbot. It will respond to our chat, and what it will give information about queries in a campus, or we can say any institute. Second one, analyzing COVID-19 impact on mental health. So COVID-19 was a worst situation. So after that, there is a changes in mental health. So as a PG student, we can go with this research problem, that we have to analyze this COVID-19 impact on mental health of people. As a research scholar, developing a novel machine learning algorithm for medical diagnosis. So there are n number of examples. Just for sample purpose, I am taking these example. So research is not just finding the information. It's about using a structured approach to ask questions, gather evidence, and draw conclusion. As rightly Zia said, we have to go with literature review. What literature review includes? We have to go through different papers, either it may be IEEE or research papers. We have to download it, we have to read it once, twice, thrice till we understand that. And from that, we have to gather information. So just gathering information is not actually research. So research is just a structural approach where we will ask questions why it is doing like this. We need to gather evidences how, why, and how it will work, and we have to draw conclusion from this. So here in figure we can see different attributes of research. So what are these points? Iterative process, it's continuous repeating process, systematic approach, objective and unbiased, empirical evidence, replicability, transparency, logical and critical thinking, peer review. So we'll go with one by one. Iterative process, or we can say cognitive process. Research involves thinking, questioning, analyzing, and reflecting. So it is a mental activity that goes just beyond collecting of information. As I earlier said, it requires interpretation and understanding. So whatever data we are getting, downloading, whatever paper we are going to learn or read, we should interpret and understand from that. Second is systematic approach. So where we have to follow some process where first step will be problem identification, or we can check any problem statement. Then hypothesis, depend on that problem identification, we have to propose one hypothesis. Then we have to go with different methods to analyze data. And once we analyze this data, then we can go with different conclusions based on that analysis. Third, objective and unbiased. Research must be free from personal opinion or bias. So if suppose there is one statement that we have said that whether use of social media affects the learning. So for this, what we have to do, we have to take collection of data from different students. So here we cannot say that as I think it is like this. So it is totally free from personal opinion or bias. Data analysis should reflect truth, not the researcher's expectation. Means if suppose I am a researcher, I am doing the research on whether this social media actually affecting the learning of student. Then if I say, if I think, yes, it is really affecting, that is my thought, depend on the research or depend on literature review and depend on the data gathered, I have to prove, I have to conclude what actually the result. It may be or it may not be supporting my decision. So it is free from personal bias. Data analysis should reflect truth, not the research expectation, as I said. For example, avoiding confirmation bias when testing on AI models accuracy. So if as a researcher I say it is right, then we have to prove it with evidence and ethics. Third one is empirical evidence. As I said, findings are based on observed and measured phenomenon, not assumption. So it not depend on assumption, it is totally based on evidences. And research must be data driven, where we can use different data sets, and data set that we are going to use that can be available through online, where we can download it, or we can actually collect it through different surveying forms. Third is replicability. Others should be able to repeat your research using your method and get similar results. So how should be your research? So whatever research you are going to define, you are going to put in front of other. So if someone else is referring your paper, your methodology, he or she should replicate the same research, and whatever results are there, that should be more approximately equal to our results. Next, transparency. Research process, methods, and data should be open and clear for scrutiny. So if someone is going to read your research, your thesis, your project or dissertation, then that should be clear and fully open for scrutiny and for review. Next is logical and critical thinking. Research requires reasoning and evidence-based conclusions. It questions assumptions and explore alternatives. Next is peer review, as I said. Quality research undergoes evaluation by experts. It ensures standards, originality, and accuracy. If you heard about publication, then for every publication, the first step is review only. So different experts are appointed to review our paper, where what they actually check, they check for plagiarism, its integrity, its ethical point of view, and whatever result, accuracy, and originality. So depend on that only the paper is getting published. Without that, just gathering of information, putting in a Word file and sending for publication will not work. So for that, it should go through these all points, that it should be iterative, systematic, objective, unbiased. It should have empirical evidence. Whatever results we are giving, that should be supported through particular evidences. It should have logical and critical thinking. So from all this, what we can say, research should be reliable, verifiable, and it should be valuable to society and science, because the end objective should be whatever research we are doing, that should be valuable or beneficial to society and science. These are different types of research. So just research is not a simple thing. There are different types. So just like basic versus applied, quantitative versus qualitative, descriptive, analytical, exploratory, and explanatory. So what is one thing we would love to research about in your field? So such a simple thing. Now there are total 35 participants. Everyone is having something in their mind they are going to research. So just I will explain this particular slide where I'm going to explain different types of research. So you yourself can identify in which type your research is. So first one is the basic research, that is pure research. What actually basic research? What is purpose of basic research? To gain deeper understanding of fundamental principle. There is no any extra work. So it is totally focused on theoretical knowledge. Second is applied. So as basic is related to just theoretical knowledge, applied will go with some applications. So where we have to apply this basic knowledge, whatever we have learned, on real-time problems or real-world applications. Second classification is quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative means it depends on quantity or statistic number, depend on statistical method, and in quality, we have to explore meaning, concept, characteristics through different experimentation. Next is descriptive, analytical, exploratory, explanatory. First, we'll go with descriptive research. What descriptive research is? To describe the characteristics or behavior of population or phenomenon. What actually it focuses? Who, what, where, when. These 4 W's it focuses on. If we get answers of these all 4, then we can say our research comes into descriptive research. Second is analytical, to critically evaluate existing information and interpret patterns. So whatever information is there, what actually pattern is there, that will be your analytical. So where we actually analyze relationship between social media usage and exam performance, as I said earlier. What? The use of social media, whether it is hampering the performance of student. So finding out that research relation between these 2 parameters is nothing but will be analytical research. Next is exploratory, where we have to explore new topic or idea with little or no existing research. So what actually the concept of research nowadays? Whatever research we are going to do, first go with literature review and we check the most used subject and we go through that, because we get confidence that already some work has been done, then we can compare. But there are some researches like exploratory where there is no actual research. We have to start from the scratch, and that is again most important thing. And next is explanatory, or sorry, experimental. So it will be to test hypothesis through different experiments. So whatever hypothesis we are setting, that we have to identify and we have to prove with different experiments. So for example, if you say basic study of neural network theory, it is a basic research. To design an app for waste management in smart cities, where we are actually using our basic knowledge on application, that is applied. In case of quantitative, we can say survey on mobile usage across the age groups, different age groups, that will be quantitative. because we are actually focusing on number, how many number of students or adults or childs are using mobile. Qualitative, interviews on remote learning challenges, where we are speaking, we are taking interview with different people to get quality information. Exploratory, first study on AI awareness in rural India. Descriptive example will be report on average study hours per semester. That is descriptive. Analytical will be correlation between attendance and grades. And experimental will be testing of two different teaching methods. So either it may be blackboard teaching or teaching with ICT tools. These are different types. This is the importance of research. What actually importance of research? Why it is needed? Because first important thing, it expand knowledge boundaries. So whatever knowledge we are having, that boundary get expanded. It solve real world problems. If our research is going to solve real world problem, then it's always effective one. It helps in informed decision making. Whatever decision we are going to make, whatever conclusion we are going to make, it is with certain groups. It supports academic and professional growth. As I said, to get further degree, we need research. Last one, it drives innovation and technological advancement. So research in AI leading to creation of smart assistant like Siri and Alexa. So these are just your innovation technology that we are using in day-to-day life. So here we can say detailed benefits, advancement of knowledge, social and economical impact that our research is going to do, personal and professional growth, innovation and development, problem solving, continuous learning and improvement, evidence-based decision making, validating existing knowledge, and preservation of cultural heritage. So through research, these all points should be touched so that your research will be most typical one. Next point is why we have to go with research. As I already said, research is not just collection of information. So it is curiosity driven exploration. So as a human being, everyone must have curiosity about something. But actually, as age grows, that curiosity dies. If you check kids, kids are always curious about everything, why it actually happens. But as the maturity increases, what we do, we just ignore the things. But curiosity is the main thing for the actual research. So first one is curiosity driven explorations. Second one, academic requirement, project thesis. If you are pursuing UG, PG or PhD, it is actually requirement. So for requirement, anyhow we have to go with research. So if we are anyhow going to do research, then why not to go with proper way? Next, professional advancement. Fourth one, social or industrial problem solving, policy making and evidence-based practice. So these are different points here, problem solving. Decision making, validation and improvement, economic and social impact, educational and intellectual growth, advancing knowledge, innovation and development. So problem solving, if we go simple example for all this first one for problem solving, new methods to recycle plastic efficiently. So most important problem in today's era is plastic waste. So as it is the most important problem, so simple example for your research will be new methods to recycle plastic efficiently. Already there are different ways. So what we have to do as a researcher, we have to go with some efficient method which will recycle this plastic with minimum cost in minimum time. Second, decision making, using artificial intelligence to optimize supply chain management, that is decision making research. Validation and improvement, enhancing existing cancer treatment protocols. Already there are different protocols of cancer treatment. So using our research, we can enhance whatever existing treatments are there. Next, economic and social impact. As it is economics, simple example, microfinance research aiding poverty reduction. That will be helpful against societal impact. Intellectual growth, advancements in neuroscience for education. Next, advancing knowledge, understanding genetic influences on behavior, that is advancement in our knowledge. Last one, innovation and development, developing the 5G technology. Now already 5G is working, 5G came into market, but still it is having many issues. So for development purpose and for innovating purpose, developing, there are different research topics based on our 5G. Next is research impact. What and how this research will impact on society. First is project initiation. So it will have different points: input, output, outcome, intended impact, and society. So what will be input? The initiation phase where a societal challenge is identified. So what I said, first go through the survey. As a researcher, it is the first most important thing. We have to go with survey. We have to find out different condition and we have to identify what challenge society is facing. What societal. So whenever we are going to put or finalize our research, the first most important question we should ask, what societal problem is being addressed by my research? Second output,
Green color என்ன மாதிரி full material இருக்கு.
direct immediate results associated with the project. So what actually my end output?
வேற மாதிரி
Can you just mute the mic, dear participants? Okay. So output, what does the research products? So whenever we are finalizing our research problem statement, we should ask ourselves first, what challenge we will identify. Second, what will be its direct impact on society. Third outcome, medium-term benefits that relate to research goals. So whenever we go with research statement, we have to identify objective and goals. So we have to first identify medium-term result that relate to the project goal. So what question we can ask? What benefits will the project deliver to the society? Intended output or intended impact, the long-term consequence of the research. So if you're a research scholar, if you're getting PhD degree, just completing PhD is not a final task. How your research will affect or impact society, that is long-lasting effect. Last one will be society, the achieved societal goals and broader impact, where, for example, we can say enhanced life expectancy due to cleaner air. So if you go with this plastic waste recycling, if that research is successful, then what we can say? In long term, we can say there is an enhanced life expectancy of the population. Next is research problem statement. Whenever there is a research methodology, first most important thing will be research problem statement that we have to identify and that we have to generate. So what actually research problem statement? A research problem is a specific issue, or we can say difficulty or contradiction or gap in knowledge that researcher aims to address. So as a researcher, what we have to do, we have to go with problem solving. So either it may be a specific issue or any difficulty or any contradiction that came across or a gap in knowledge that we have to just identify and we have to address it. So these are different problem statements. What is problem statement? When starting a research project or writing a research paper, we should be prepared for a range of possible outcomes. So first we will identify different outcomes. For any research problem, there will be different outcomes. We have to just identify, then we can go for next step. Problem statement template. The next important step after identifying the problem is to propose a solution or improvement that can be made to improve the overall research paper. Third, crafting a problem statement. If your paper has any specific objective, define them in the study and outline the aim to achieve through your research. Last one, problem statements example. For example, a problem statement for a project can be crafted if a research topic needs further enhancement or required refinement. So whenever you are going to decide your problem statement, it should be systematic one. And depend on our research type, our statement should be changed. These are different components of our research. Context background, what is not known, why it matters, and the gap our research will fill. So just check what we are going to discuss here in components of our research. We have to check background while defining our problem statement. Then in our problem statement, we have to check what is known and what is unknown, and whatever research we are going to do, how it will matter or how it will impact, and which gap will identify, and what our research will fill that gap. Next is the sources of research problem. There are different sources from where we can identify our research problem. First, literature gap. So as Ria rightly said, that for finalizing any statement, we have to go with literature review. So whenever we are reading literature, it's not just reading, we have to read in between the lines. So where we can explore the area that already that author has been written, and we have to find out literature gap. Through literature gap, we can define a problem statement. Second, real world issues. In day-to-day life, we are identifying different issues. That is one source where we can find out our research problem. Observation is most important thing. We can say everything. There is a different perspective of seeing that particular process or phenomenon. So your perspective will decide or will identify research problem. Again, industry feedback. Problems reported by professional and industries. If suppose you have to work on some industry or some industrial issue, then what we have to do, we have to go there, we have to visit different industries, we have to talk with them, and we'll identify our research problem through their feedback. Then policy documents, government and organizational policies may reveal research needs. So there are different organization, government organization, what they do after every quarter or after every 6 months or every year, they just give some goal or objective. They announce it on their website. We have to just identify which problem we can solve and we can approach them. That in that we'll get help from that persons also. Next is personal experience, individual encounters with problem. If suppose you are living in particular society, you are having some job, your business will be different. Then you should be able to identify whatever gap or difficulty you are facing. That also can be a personal experience, will help to identify research problem. And future scope in existing study. So when you go with some paper, every paper or every research report will be having future scope or some limitations. So what we can do, whenever you are writing or whenever you are reading for different papers, along with literature review, we have to go with conclusion, what they have concluded, limitations of that research paper, and future scope. That will be again one turning step to identify our research problem. So how to define research problem? Already we have said different resources from where we can identify our research. So now we'll go with how to define the research problem. First, we have to identify a broad area, start with general subject or interest. First, identify in which area we have to research. Either it may be biomedical, automobile, industry, environment, cyber security, like that. You can identify your area first. Then review existing work. As already we have discussed about literature review. If I'm going with biomedical, brain signal processing, so first most important thing will be I have to search or I need to go through different papers or research works in which they have already studied on this brain. Existing work we have to review, we have to conduct a literature review to understand what research already exists. Next, narrow the focus. There are n different topics or n number of papers that we'll get. What we have to do as a researcher, we have to narrow our focus. From broad topics, we have to narrow it down to specific issue. Then state the problem clearly. Whatever problem we are going to act on or we are going to research, that we have to state clearly. And before finalizing our research problem, we have to ensure its feasibility, whether it is feasible or not. Otherwise, I will say I'm going to do research on this and this topic, but if it is not feasible and if you are working on this problem for 2 or 3 years, then it's just waste of time without any direction. So just a simple example like that. If you are going on a road and if you don't know any direction, and if you are going without any direction, then it's just waste. There is no use of that traveling. So what different checklists are there? First, is it researchable? So there are n different topics we will get. There will be n different problems we are facing. So first most important thing we have to question ourselves is it researchable? Can data be collected to investigate this? Suppose I'm having one particular problem. So first important thing, whether this problem can be solved through research, and for solving this problem, can we gather the data? That is first important thing. Second, is it original or it is replica of other? Does it add new knowledge or perspective? Because for BUG level, it's okay, but for PG and for research level, it is always important to put forth our original work. Next, is it significant? Whether whatever research I am doing, whether it is significant to other, whether it is significant to society, that we have to check. Will solving this problem benefit society or a particular field or part of society? And last most important thing, is it clear and concise? Can the problem be easily understood by other? Suppose I am explaining one particular research. If it is not useful or not understandable by others, then it is of no use. So it should be clear and concise. You have to put your point in short. How to frame research objectives? So what actually research objective is? Research objectives are specific goals that the researcher aims to achieve through our study. So whatever we are going to study, what objectives are? Objectives are nothing but these are the outcome that we are going to achieve once our research is completed. So research objectives are specific goals to be achieved through our study. Characteristics should be clear. Whatever objective we are going to decide, that should be clear. That should not be vague. What clear means, that is easy to understand. If suppose someone is saying that this is what my objective, then next person or viewer should understand what actually wanted to do. Second one, measurable. So whatever research we are going to do, that should be measurable, quantifiable outcome. So whatever outcome we are going to do, that we should produce. Third, achievable. So we have to design or frame realistic objective. Next, relevant one, aligned with research problem. If suppose I am going to research on social media effect on social media effect on academic performance, then it should be relevant to the both, that use of social media and how that use of social media is affecting on performance of the student performance. And it should be time bound, achievable within a set time frame. So why we can say time bound? Because if you are a UG, we have to do it in one particular year. For PG, 1 or 2 years, and for PhD, minimum 3 to 5 years. So if this research is not time bound, what actually will happen? If suppose I am defining one research problem today, and if I'm going to work on this for 2, 3, 4 years, what actually will happen? Today we are referring current papers, but after 3 years, there will be n number of changes in paper. There will be n number of methodology already others have used. So once my project is completed, when my research is completed, already the same research has been done by others and already they have published. So that will be problematic. So for that, whatever research objective we are going to set, that should be time bound. What should be the structure? General objective. First go with broader M. For example, to evaluate the impact of remote learning on student performance, and specific objective, which should be detailed, measurable targets. So we have to break the general objective into detailed measurable tasks. For example, to assess students' engagement levels in remote learning and to compare performance metrics between in-person and remote learning. So what I said first example in case of general objective, broader M, what is broader M? If there is a remote learning method, whether it is affecting student performance or not. This is just broad thing. Out of that, what is focused one? To simple example, to assess student engagement level in remote learning means whether student is actually getting engaged in remote learning. That is first important task. If we get that particular issue solved, then we can identify our problem. And second one, to compare performance of metrics between in-person and remote learning means how student is behaving in in-person teaching and remote learning. So next most important thing is ethics. So what actually ethics is? Research ethics ensure that research is conducted in a responsible, honest, and respectful manner. So whatever research we are going to do, that should be responsible one. We should know what actually we are going to do. It should be honest, with loyalty, and respectful manner. No one should get hurt due to our research. So why ethics matter? Because it maintains integrity and trust. Because most important thing is integrity that will make your research impactful. Researchers are trusted to provide truthful, unbiased findings. Means if you are going to any doctor and if doctor is saying that you are suffering from this particular disease, then what is most important thing? We have to trust on that doctor. So it's not like that if we go to any doctor and if doctor is saying that this disease has been done without any checking, without any conclusion is saying, then it's irresponsible one. So whenever there is a doctor, he should go with truthful and respectful conclusion. So first we have to maintain integrity and trust. Second, protect rights and welfare of participants. So if we are using some research problem that is related to human being. So if I go with biomedical research, so especially in human research, we have to protect participants' privacy from harm is essential. So if suppose we are dealing with heart-related patients, heart-related information, then whatever data set we are going to collect from a hospital, so that should be one. Whatever information of participants should be there, whatever information of patients will be there, that should be hidden one. We cannot openly say the name or identify the patient. Next, third one is we have to ensure credibility and reproducibility. So ethical research ensure that findings are valid and can be replicated. So what are different key areas of ethics? First, informed consent. Participants must voluntarily agree to participate. So if suppose we are going to survey on particular issue in a society, and if I am going through different Google form or survey, so what is first most important thing? We have to take consent from that society. So each and every person should know that we are going to research, we have to decide some outcomes from that. So everyone should be informed first. If each and every participant is giving consent, then and then only we can go with that particular research. Second, plagiarism avoidance. What actually plagiarism is? Plagiarism is just copy pasting another work, as there are different papers available online. What actually we are doing, we are taking that data as it is, we are copying and pasting, and we are submitting it as our research. So that is again unethical one. So plagiarism avoidance, always create original source and authors. And if suppose, though we are copying the different methodology or statements from others, we should have that much ethic that we have to mention that particular person there, that this person have used this method and he got this accuracy. So always we should credit the original sources and authors. So for that, citation is there. So when you're going to write any paper or any report, their citation is important. Suppose we are going to write different references, reference 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 10. So in your research paper, that 1 to 10 should be cited at least in 1 or 2 lines in your research paper. So citation is most important. If you're taking one image or one table from one research paper, you are copying as it is. Just make sure it is okay to copy paste. Just don't forget to mention or give credit to that particular person. Next is data confidentiality. So whatever data we are dealing with, depend on application, its sensitivity changes. So sensitive information should be kept private. If suppose as a data scientist or data research, if you are working on banking or financial issues, then that data should be always confidential. For example, in medical studies, keeping patient data anonymous, as I said earlier, if you are going to study on patient data, then information of patient, either male, female, age, or name of that particular person or his location should be always kept anonymous. Avoiding falsification or fabrication. Data must not be altered or faked. Now, what happens actually whenever you go with some medical data, we get patient's data and we go through some algorithm on that, and whatever results we are getting. So to just get accurate results, what we can do, we can just alter our data. So again, it is unethical practice. Whatever data we are collecting from the hospital or some resources or some sources, that data should never be altered. We have to take data as it is and we have to work on that. If you are not getting expected results, we can change our algorithm or we can alternate use combination of different algorithms. And next one is Fair authorship. So credit should be given to all who made significant contribution. For example, listing co-authors accurately in published paper. In case of research scholar, we have to co-author our research guide. It's mandatory as the research guide is going to guide us. In case of PG also same, but in case of UG, there is a group of 4 or 3 members that all 3-4 members we have to list out in our co-authors. So what actually we covered today in research methodology, actually we most of the time we dealt with research. So first important thing that we have discussed is why research matters in personal, academic and global context. So in personal level, it helps individual solve personal and local issues. For example, we can say student researchers time management strategies to improve academic performance. If suppose I am a student, I have some problems in my study or in my performance, then as a researcher, I can identify my problems. That will be my personal research. Academic level, necessary for writing thesis, dissertation, and contributing to knowledge. So research on renewable energy in engineering courses. Third, global context. Research drives innovation, technology, healthcare solution, and policy making. This is valuable for society. For example, if your research is global research collaboration in developing COVID-19 vaccine, that was nothing but having global context. So research is having 3 different contexts. One will be personal, one will be academic, and third one will be societal context. What research is and its classification that we have seen, different types we have seen. Basic versus applied, quantitative, qualitative, exploratory, descriptive. So whenever we are going to formulate any research statement or we have to think about research, first we have to identify in which type we are going to for research. Next, how to approach research from identifying a problem to defining a clear objective. Yeah, it's important to identify our research problem. So for giving solution, it is the most important thing after identifying problem, how we are defining with clear motto that our objectives. And next one will be the essential role of ethics in ensuring trust and credibility. As I said, there should be ethics, there should be trust and credibility and integrity. And whatever research we are going to do, whatever conclusions we are going to put forth, each and every conclusion should be supported with some evidences. So research is nothing but it is combination of curiosity and the method that we are going to use. So starting with curiosity, what we can say, what we want to explore, that is our curiosity, and we have to use different scientific methods to find our structured answer. So for example, we can say about curiosity and method, why some students learn faster online, that is curiosity, that how a particular student can learn the things online. And for this, what we have to do, we have to use different methods by conducting different surveys and analysis. Depending on that, we can identify what actually helps students to learn easily online. Second, clear problem statements guide direction. If our problem statement is clear, then we can say our research is properly going in proper direction. Smart objective shape focus. If our objectives are smart, then we can go with focus research. So SMART itself represent S for specific, M for measurable, A for achievable, R for relevant, and T for time bound. That is SMART, SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. For example, to evaluate the impact of online quizzes on student retention rates over a semester in 3 schools. This is clear idea. It is having clear one. They are mentioning 3 schools, that is measurable. This output of quiz output can be measurable. It is easily achievable in 3 schools. Just to we have to get consent from authority and we have to circulate our forms. It is relevant, and again it is time bound. Within a time bound, within this semester, there are different exams. Using that exam and survey, we can just achieve our target. Ethics, as I said, it is a backbone of your research. We should ensure participant safety, data privacy, and prevent misconduct. In case of health, as I said, patient data should be always anonymous and secure. And most important thing, research begins with questions, not answers. So these are takeaway points: research curiosity plus method, clear problem statement guide direction, smart objective, again ethics, the backbone of responsible research, and research begins with questions, not answers. These are conclusions for today's session. First, be curious. Let your questions drive your exploration. For example, wondering why traffic congestion is worse in certain cities leads to research on urban planning. So there are different roads, different signals. So everywhere there is a road, everywhere there is a traffic, but in few cities there is traffic jam, there is a congestion in traffic. So it is most important, if you are curious enough, then you can identify the problem there. Second, frame your research problem and objective thoughtfully. So before finalizing your research problem, always give a thought. That should be well structured problem statement, which will lead to actionable and feasible result. Instead of climate change is bad, what we can frame, what is the impact of rising sea levels on coastal agriculture in Kerala? If suppose we are going to discuss about some environment, either it may be Kerala or Mumbai, what we can say, instead of directly giving conclusion that climate is bad or climate change is bad, it is making worse happening in human life, what we can say, what is the impact of rising sea levels on coastal agriculture in Kerala or in particular city? Stay ethical. The most important thing to be integrating. Your integrity is your identity as a researcher. Start small, think big. Every research journey begins with one thoughtful question. So one simple problem, one thoughtful question, how I can do this? That will trigger our research. Even minor studies can contribute to larger solution. As you are a research scholar or you are a PG or UG student, that doesn't mean research is a great rocket science. Research is just a simple thing, a simple thought that can change life of society. For example, we can say a small survey on student stress during exam can contribute to larger mental health studies. So there are different student groups who are facing mental health issues due to exam stress and all. So if you just concentrate on a simple thing, small survey on student stress during exam, that will be helpful for many others. So this is what our today's discussion, where we have discussed what actually research methodology is, what are different research types, why, how, and what research methodology is, what are different types of researches, and what are different things we have to discuss while finalizing our research one. Okay, thank you for your patience listening. Now session is open for discussion. If you have any query, you can just ask through chat.
Yeah, dear participants, as speaker sir rightly said, the session is open for discussion. You can clarify your doubts through chat box or unmuting your mics. I repeat, dear participants, the session is open for discussion. You can clarify your doubts through chat box or unmuting your mics. Speaker sir,
Yes, sir.
yeah, can you recap the entire session in few minutes of time with the help of PPT?
Okay. So just now we have seen what actually research methodology is, why we need research methodology, what is needed for our research methodology, and how we have to do this research methodology. So most important thing that we have seen what actually research is. Research is systematic and scientific process of collecting, analyzing, interpreting data. So before proceeding to research, what actually we have to done, what we have to do, we have to identify a problem statement, a problem in our society, and we have to think for that. So these are different research perspectives, iterative process, systematic approach, how our research should be unbiased. It should not be depend on a single person's opinion. It should be replicable. If some another person want to do our research, it should be easier one to understand, and it should have transparency. And if some persons are going to review our research, that should be peer reviewed. Different types we have seen, basic versus applied. In basic, we have to just apply on, we have to just study on basic knowledge that we are having. Whatever basic knowledge we have having, that we have to apply on different application, that will be our applied research. In case of quantitative and quality, what we have discussed, in case of quantitative, we are focusing on quantity as compared to quality. And in case of qualitative, we are going to discuss about features. So we have to go into research about feature. Descriptive, analytical, exploratory, and explanatory, depending on our type, our research area, our research is classified in different types, and different types will go with different research methodology. So before introducing different methodology, I have just used these different types of researches. These are different parameters where we can identify what actually importance of research, that we can say advancing knowledge, innovation and development, problem solving. The most important thing through our research should be problem solving, and if that problem is for a society, then it is always welcome. And whatever research, whatever decision we are going to make, that should be evidence based. We have to validate our results through proper proofs. Our research should have social and economic impact. It is useful for our personal and professional growth, continuous learning and improvement, and it should preserve our cultural heritage. Then we have discussed about why research. As I said, curiosity is the most important thing for our research. If you are curious, then research is very useful for you. Creating a research statement is most easier if we are curious. So whatever things are happening around us, we have to just be somewhat curious, and we have to just ask a question, why it is happening, how we can control it. That is what the start of our research. So as academic requirement, we can do this research, professional advancement, social or industrial problem solving if you are interested in social things, and policy making and evidence-based practices. As I earlier said, there are many government agencies, they are putting different questions or research statements on their website where we can go and check. And if we are feasible to do that, we can just go to them, we can contact them, then that research we can proceed. The research impact, as I said, whatever research we are doing, that should have some impact on our society, on our surrounding. So what are most important input? What challenge we are going to address? Output. After research, what will get final output? Then outcomes. From going from input to output, what will be the different outcomes that we will came across? Then intended impact, what actually impact we have to identify or we have to give. Last one, how our research will help to the society. The research problem statement, as I rightly said, for doing any research, the most important thing is we have to identify a problem. And once our problem statement is identified, it is feasible, then we can go with its actual research. These are different sources I said, because most important thing while going to any research proposal, on which point we have to do research. So for that, there are different resources where we can identify day-to-day life problems. So any day-to-day life problem, we can just take it and we can think on that and we can convert into our research problem. So literature gaps will be there, real world issues will be there. By observing, by industry feedback, if suppose we are living in a locality where there are n number of industries, then just visiting that industry and we can take the feedback from the employer, and from their feedback, from their problems, we can just identify our research problem. There are different government policy documents where government always tells about what problems government is facing. Then personal experience, whatever personal experience you are facing in your day-to-day life, that also can be a research problem. And future scope in existing study. As I said, in literature survey, if you're going to refer n number of papers, 4 or 5 papers, every paper is having conclusion, conclusion will always give some results. It will be having some accuracy 90, 95%, 92%, 80%. So again, increasing that percent a bit larger is again one research problem in itself. Again, every research is going to discuss limitations of his or her work. He or she will be discussing his future scope. There also we are getting different research problems. So once we identify that, then we have to define and restructure our research problem. So for that, we have to identify first broad area, in which broad area our research is going to do. Review existing work. We have to narrow our focus. We have to state our problem clearly so that next person will identify and understand easily. And we have to ensure whatever research we are going to do, that should be feasible. Otherwise, what will happen if we work on a particular statement for 2, 3, 4 years, and after that, if we identify it is not feasible, then whatever investment we have done, that will be just waste. So what are different checklists for our research statement? Is it researchable? Is it really clear, right? Is it original, or I am copying someone else? Is it significant? Will it have some significant value? And is it clear or concise? Then we have discussed how to frame up our objective: clear, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. That is nothing but it should be a smart one. Then we have seen the importance of ethics that we have to follow. We have to follow or maintain integrity and trust. So whatever conclusion I am put forth in my thesis, in my report, that should be trustworthy and that should be integrable. Next, we have to protect rights and welfare of participant. If suppose our research is having interference of a human being, as it may be biomedical or some societal approach, societal issue, then there should be protection of their rights and identity. Then we have to ensure credibility and reproducibility of our research. Different key areas, I said, informed consent. So for following ethics, what we have to follow, if we are dealing on some particular society, part of society, then we have to inform that group of people that we are going to go with this survey. If they agreed for them, then and then only we can go with that. Plagiarism, we cannot just copy and paste. If at all we are copying some points, we have to give credit to that author. Data confidentiality, we have to keep that data private. Then we have to avoiding falsification or fabrication. Suppose we are going for some survey, and if few students or few participants have given answer as, then we cannot just go and alter when someone's answer as a no, because it is falsification. And we have to go with fair authorship. So if in our research there are many persons who are going to help us, we have to just give them credit. So these are different points that we have covered in our today's session. So research, it is just combination of curiosity plus method. So curiosity, that is elaborated or explored in proper direction with proper method, is nothing but your research. Clear problem statement will guide with clear result. Smart objectives will give focused output. We have to find out ethics, that is the most important backbone of our responsible research. And research begins with questions, not answer. So whenever you are going to do any research, always start with question why, what, and how. And this is what our conclusion. Be curious. Let our questions drive our exploration. Frame our research problem and objectives thoughtfully. Stay ethical. Our integrity is our identity as a researcher. Start small, but think big. Every research journey begins with one thoughtful question. That is, why? This is what our session. If you have any question related to your research, if you are thinking of any research, just you can ask.
Sir, there is one question in chat box.
Yes, so just let me check. What are points that come under the methodology of my research problem? If one asks, tell me your research method. Can you just tell me your research problem?
Yeah, Koalan sir. Koalan sir. Yeah.
AI in Education. Okay. See, whatever you are executing your AI, again, as I said, it is a problem statement. It is again not a specific problem statement. As I said, AI in education, what actually you are going to do in that education. So where you are going to actually work artificial intelligence in education. What is your actual purpose of your research? Can you just elaborate?
Sir, what is the impact of education when you are applying AI for the undergraduate or postgraduate students?
Your voice
If
is
I'm
not audible.
doing
Can you just speak loudly?
if I'm doing a research work on AI education, impact of or effective of AI education for undergraduate students or postgraduate students.
Okay.
If I'm asking what are the research method you are having. So, for example, samples and what are the methods we are following? What are the tools and techniques? And so these are the points to cover. No, that is what I want to know. That so what are the points to be covered under what is the research method?
Okay, that I'm going to discuss in your next tomorrow session. Till I will just answer you in research method that we are using in our AI in education. What actually we are going to do? Whatever current education strategies are there, in that we are using artificial intelligence. So either it may be teaching or either it may be
Yes.
learning the things in different way. So in that we can go with different methods. So first is quantitative, where what we can do, we can collect numerical data, use statistics. If suppose the problem is related to number of students getting grade A plus or B plus, C plus. So if we are going to work on that, that will be having your quantitative research. So depend on that, there will be different methods. Second will be qualitative, where we have to explore our user experience and perception. So as I said about remote learning and chalkboard learning, or we can say chalkboard learning and interactive learning if it is through PPTs, then we have to go through different surveys. That is also one method of surveying the students, where through survey what we can identify, we will go with different questionnaire where we can identify response of student. So that will be our qualitative research, where we will identify the features that are affecting student performance. So depend on our problem statement, depend on what actually we are going to identify, there will be different methods. Again, experimental design, where we can just make 2 or 3 groups, and for each group we'll go with so different methods, and depend on their experience we can go with experimentation. That will be our experimental design method. So depend on which problem or on which problem you are going to focus, our methodology will change. So in next tomorrow's session, I'm going to discuss about this different methodology in where I'm going to discuss about advanced research methodology. Today was just it's basic what actually research, how to formulate research statement, problem statement, and what are different ethical issues. So in tomorrow's session, I will go through this. Okay, is there any question?
Yeah, anybody else? Dear participants?
Yes.
Yeah, anybody else? Dear participants?
If you have any query, if you have any doubt about your research topic, you can ask. And if you want to discuss anything tomorrow, that also you can tell that I will discuss, I will include in my presentation for tomorrow's presentation. That will be helpful.
So, Speaker sir, if there is
Yes,
no
sir.
questions from participants, shall we stop here?
Okay, so just ask once again if they have any problem or if any issue, and if they
Yeah.
want me to explain anything tomorrow, just if they can message in chat.
So, dear
If you need
the
anything
last
from my
session, but
side,
not. Dear participants, tomorrow will be the last session, but not least session. You can clarify your doubts today, or you can clarify your doubts in tomorrow's session also. So, Speaker sir, with this we'll stop here, and once
okay,
again
thank
we'll
you,
meet
sir.
virtually. Yeah, once again we'll meet virtually tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. in our last session, but not least session. So, thank you, Speaker sir. Thank you, participants. Good night, Speaker sir. Good night, participants.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Good night, sir.